This opening sequence teases the audience, slowly building as the action escalates, but behind the upfront violence is a carefully crafted character introduction. Director Luc Besson delivers a film so balanced, with the Western-style action set pieces mixed with the European sensibility of character, and that hard-hitting introduction is immediately countered with a much more human look at an empty man's life. The film opens as we the audience travel overseas deep into the big city, just like Leon's origin of immigration, swept up by Tony, who becomes a sort of father figure.
Remember when you arrived in this country, Leon? When I took you in, you were still wet behind the fucking ears.
But instead of a father that helps him grow, there's an unspoken element that keeps Leon in his role as a cleaner.
Change ain't good, Leon. You know?
Resulting in a lonely, survival-based existence. He's a much more fleshed-out version of the cleaner in Nikita, Besson's previous film which inspired the character here. As part of this expanding character, we see him show empathy towards his plant. This is a great screenwriting tool to help audiences identify with the humanity in what we already know is a very violent and morally questionable man. But the plant serves for much more than this. It's a symbol that mirrors Leon himself. Like the plant, he has no place to call home, always on the move, unrooted in his life and unable to grow, making him thematically still a child. Which makes Leon and Matilda's relationship a little easier to follow. They're both children, pretending to the world that they're older than they seem, which is why Matilda mistakes protection and affection for love, and why Leon can't hide his true simple nature in the company of others.
How are you today?
It's maybe why Leon drinks so much milk, the drink of a child, why he watches Gene Kelly with childlike wonder, why he can't read, and why his knowledge is so specialist that he doesn't seem to have experienced much of the world. I found it interesting in one of the making of videos that they described the movie like this.
In The Professional, the story of a 12-year-old who adopts a hitman.
If the sole mission of the film was for Leon to be the almighty protector, then it would never be phrased this way. Matilda isn't a damsel in distress, she becomes a sort of teacher for Leon as much as he is for her. And it's because the journey of the film isn't just to save Matilda, it's also to save Leon's soul, giving him a taste of life, helping him grow, read and experience humanity outside the blood-filled job that he'd been trapped in since childhood. It's why he agrees to train her in the first place, recognizing the survival childlike desperation that I'm sure he once had. And it's only after she proves herself does she begin to carry the plant. His life is metaphorically in her hands, all building towards the final action sequence, probably the most action-packed and emotionally charged moments where multiple things pay off. This is the action climax of the film. Leon sacrifices himself for Matilda, while also fulfilling her request to avenge her parents by killing Stansfield and ensuring her safety from then on. Also, keep an eye on the left side of the frame. Right there, Stansfield waiting in the shadows, ending with the most satisfying combination of emotional sweetness and popcorn explosion action. But this moment is the emotional climax. This is where we see Leon's self-awareness and acceptance of change. It's the moment that he saves the two most important things in his life, Matilda and his soul, i.e. the plant. Because of Matilda's love helping him grow, Leon is able to make a choice for the direction of his life, maybe for the first time, and is able to reach a place of inner redemption. Despite dying moments later, thematically his soul lives on as Matilda allows him to find roots for the first time. This is the emotional endpoint of the journey. And it's this example and spiritual transference that enables Matilda to once again become a real child, to trust and accept help, compared to the start of the film when she saw herself as,
unless there is a valid excuse,
she's dead.
And in combination with our first shots of her, the imagery of her legs dangling, she too starts the film as unrooted and a stranger in her own family. And without roots, you can't grow. But through Leon's guidance and example, she's allowed a second chance, a thematic rebirth, and saves her soul in the process. The bizarre journey starts at this wonderfully tense moment. Leon struggles with the decision of letting her in, obviously to try and avoid the trouble out front, but in this moment I also see Leon struggling with the act of letting someone else into his life. It doesn't just mean saving Matilda, it means opening himself up, being vulnerable and choosing a new way of life. So why does he open the door? Maybe the moral code of a hitman, no women, no children, but maybe he recognizes the survival strength in Matilda. Or maybe it's the child in him that yearns for connection, hinted at in previous scenes. Even narratively, it's his interaction with her moments before that causes her to be shopping for milk, rather than suffering the same fate as the rest of her family. So no matter what, Leon saves Matilda, but she also saves him too. Let's also take a moment to acknowledge how awesome Gary Oldman is in this film. The antagonist of Leon's growth at the heart of it is really Tony, but the unmistakable, unpredictable, and endlessly charming villain, Stansfield, has a way of interrupting the pace and flow of every scene that he's in, causing the audience to almost trip over with his offbeat and unnerving interrogations. I'm sure it had this kind of effect on actors too, which is why this character works so well, because we learn more about him from other people's reactions to him. A very clever directing choice by Besson and a very open encouragement for Oldman to explore, which resulted in one of the best lines in the film.
What do you mean everyone?
But his most thematically rich line might be this one.
I take no pleasure in taking life if it's from a person who doesn't care about it.
Leon and Stansfield mirror each other in the way that they're surrounded by death in their jobs. By the beginning of the film, Leon could fall into the camp of being someone Stansfield could kill without meaning in their life. But by the end of the film, he reaches a place of renewed appreciation and perspective of life, which is what makes the final moment so tragic and makes Leon a timeless and heartfelt masterpiece. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video on Leon the Professional. I made this video because a lot of people suggested it in a previous video's comment section. I found it really useful, so thank you to all of those people for sharing your ideas and for your comments. Another video that was really popular was the idea of doing something on Little Miss Sunshine. So I plan to cover that next. I'm going to watch it again tonight and see if I can figure out the angle in which we're trying to tackle this movie. Which brings me to another question I have for you. What movies or topics do you see nobody covering that you feel deserves some attention? For me, it was films like The Full Monty and Midnight Special that are dynamite movies, but just nobody talks about them anymore. So feel free to comment below and let me know what are films that you are interested in, which is somebody else who's interested in investigating and digging into movies, and that will really help me decide what direction should I move into next. So if you want to stay tuned to what's coming next, please subscribe and ding the little notification. And as always, a huge thank you to all Patreons for making these videos possible. See you in the next one.